Hi everyone, I'm Doug Lugers, Lugers Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Super excited. I'm here at Fidelity National Title with the lady that runs the show, Beverly Onson. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
She's been working with Fidelity in the title business for a very long time, and so she knows a lot about this business. And there's some questions that you, our viewers, ask us all the time before closing or at closing or even sometimes after closing. Want to know how certain things work, and so I'm going to address some of these topics with Beverly today. So Beverly, first things first, I get asked a lot about how taxes work in Florida. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The taxes in Florida are paid in arrears, which is different from a lot of the northern states. They pay their taxes ahead of time. In Florida, we pay ours at the end of the year. So we prorate them at closing accordingly, and then we get one bill at the end of the year.
One bill at the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I also get a lot of questions about a homestead exemption, and let me touch on that a little bit more. Is a lot of times when people are analyzing a property down here, and they'll say, why are the taxes so low on that? And then you go and look it up and you see there's a homestead exemption. And that leads into a whole nother conversation. Let's tell everybody, what is homestead exemption and how maybe would somebody be able to take advantage of that?
Okay, the homestead exemption is for people that are residing in Florida as their primary residence. So it has to be your primary residence, and you apply for the homestead exemption after closing. It used to be a real entailed where you had to go down there with stacks of papers and you stood in line forever and it was just a nightmare. And they've really filtered that out a lot. Now you can actually apply for your homestead anytime after the closing. Before, it used to be between January and March. You had 3 months to file your homestead exemption.
Wow.
Now you can do it at any time after closing. And what I tell my buyers usually is when you get your recorded deed in the mail, that should be a trigger in your head to go ahead and file for your homestead exemption. You actually go on, they have a website you go on to, it's lipa.org. You just pick homestead exemption and it takes 10 minutes literally to fill out the information they need, and then it's filed.
Very cool. So you said primary residence.
Yes.
What does it have to be a primary residence?
It has to be that you are residing in it more than 6 months out of the year. And it does have to be, you can't have it like, say you're staying there 5 months and you're having it as a second home. Then you have an exemption, because some other states do have exemptions, homestead exemptions like that. So you can't have two. This has to be your only primary residence.
Okay. Are there any other tax exemptions for veterans?
Yeah, there is, and you can, if you go onto that website as well, it'll give you all the details on theirs. But there are senior exemptions, there's widow exemptions, there's a bunch of different ones. There's agricultural exemptions. I know it's not real big in Cape Coral, but there are all different exemptions. And if you go on there, it lists each exemption and it tells you everything about it.
Okay, what was the website again?
It's lipa.org. It's LEEPA.org.
Awesome. That would be very useful to a lot of people. So the other big topic is wire fraud.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Wire fraud.
So
yes.
with over 30,000 transactions closed here in Lee and Collier County last year, we have a lot of fraudulent people out there that are trying to take a big chunk of change from people, right?
Yes, we do. And then unfortunately the realtors are the target for that.
Yeah.
They get behind the scenes, they get into your email, they quietly sit behind the scenes and monitor everything you do, because they know at some point you're going to have a closing.
They're hacking us.
Right. So that's why one of the reasons why we give our wiring instructions directly to the buyer. We have a verbal conversation with the buyer first, and I tell them, hey, I'm going to send you my wire instructions. These are what they should be. I'm going to also give you the secret code, and I give them a number that I've made up, and I say, when you get this, you're going to have that code to open this email. And so we're being super safe so that we know they get our wiring instructions and no one else's. And we also tell them at that time as well, they'll never change. So if somebody says, oh, I sent you the wrong ones, those are old, whatever, they don't change. So.
Gotcha. So you got some things in place to...
Lots of things.
Yeah, lots of things too.
Yes, we're making it super hard for them to be able to access any of our wire information.
What else, if anything, can a buyer do to make sure that it's legit?
Call before you send the wire. And we also have on if you call Fidelity and you get put on hold, you'll hear it on the information on the hold, and it tells you to make sure that you call before you wire. When you get to the bank, have your teller call and say, hey, I'm getting ready to send the money to your company. Is this the right information? You know, verbal, anything verbal is much better than faxing or emails or anything to that effect.
We just had an awesome class put on by you guys about wire fraud today, and they said inquire before you wire. I love that. Yep. Inquire before you wire. That's,
absolutely.
Any other advice for our watchers or viewers or anything out there?
Not really. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of as far as wire goes, is just make sure you call, make sure you ask, you know, call several times if you feel better. And a lot of times I'll tell people too, once they wire, you know, then all of a sudden they sit and they go, did it get there, you know? So I like to make sure if I get the wire in, I call them and say, just so you know, I got your money, you know, you're all safe, and that sort of gives them a relief.
Awesome.
So.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm Doug Lugers, Lugers Group, brokered by eXp Realty, here with Beverly Onson with Fidelity National Title. Thanks for watching.